Let's also listen in the Finance Minister meeting PSU banks once again today to see the progress on some of those relief measures. Let's listen into that press conference.
And will end, depending on the place, for 4 days with around 40 feet. That is just a pre-period. So the demand from the consumers, have you also know the
liquidity, and therefore they are very robust. As has always been said, they are kind of articles of faith. And now in further, to take further steps, they are going for outreach to do this. The second point was that Madam discussed with the bankers the support to the MSMEs. So to support their cash flow needs, the corporates, big corporates have reported to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in their regular returns that they owe 40,000 crores to the MSMEs. 40,000 करोड़ रुपया जो बड़े कॉरपोरेट्स हैं उनको MSMEs को पे करना है, वो रेगुलर रिटर्न्स में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स के फाइल होते हैं. तो while there is a mandate that they will pay those monies to the MSMEs, the banks agreed as an outreach again that since they suffer the most from the shortage of the cash during this bills, non-receipt of the cash, during these camps and before the camps, they will also have an outreach to all these MSMEs to do the bill discounting. अगर किसी को भी जो ड्यू उसका कॉर्पोरेट, बड़े कॉर्पोरेट से ड्यू है और अभी आया नहीं है, उसके अगेंस्ट में अगर उनको लोन चाहिए, अगर उनको बिल डिस्काउंटिंग चाहिए, so banks agreed on their own initiative to sort of extend this outreach to the MSMEs for the cash, for the bill discounting also.
Just to explain it a bit more, the Corporate Affairs Ministry has a complete list of companies which have stated that they owe MSMEs only, nearly 40,000 crores. That is disclosed by these companies in the MCA website itself. What we've requested banks to, both Secretary Corporate Affairs and Secretary Banking will ensure that the data in all disaggregated form is given to these banks, and the banks shall make an attempt to approach every one of these MSMEs and ask them if they wanted discount, bill discounting, because that's openly claimed by the companies. And by 22nd, I've asked them to report back saying, if the MSMEs are willing to have the bill discounted and collect the money, very well, the banks should give it, because it's after all disclosed by those companies. And if the MSME doesn't want bill discounting, all right, the banks can just report back saying, we've approached the MSME, they don't want bill discounting, although it is in the website of the MCA. Together with that, I've requested Secretary MCA to write to all these companies that you have claimed this is what has got to be paid to the MSMEs, these are dues from your side for the MSME, will you expedite the payment and get that cleared? So we are taking a two-pronged approach so that MSMEs before the big festival Diwali will get the amount which is due and which is claimed by the companies in the MCA website. So by 22nd, I have requested them to come back, the banks to come back to me to say they have approached these MSME. If they desire that a bill discounting be done, they could discount and give them the money. If they don't desire the bill discounting, they can at least report back to me saying they've approached them based on this information which is coming from the MCA, but they didn't desire the bill discounting. So we didn't finish the story there. We've made sure that the Secretary MCA will ensure the companies are all told, you clear the bill. So both approaches are being taken just before this Diwali for them to benefit from it.
और इसके साथ साथ अगर MSME को कोई इंक्रीमेंटल लोन, टर्म लोन अपने फंडामेंटल्स के बेसिस पे या वर्किंग कैपिटल चाहिए, तो उसके लिए ये आउटरीच प्रोग्राम भी उपलब्ध है. So this is what banks decided, that they will have a special focus on the MSMEs also, other than the retails and agricultural loans which people want to take, of course based on their very fundamentals, whatever rules they have. Thereafter, FM reviewed the support to the NBFCs as was announced by Madam during the last weeks. The direct pool buyout by the banks from the NBFCs has been to the tune of around 17,000 crores. This is of the assets which are good assets, which are AA or whatever standards they have.
This is an amount securitized.
This is the pool buyout. This is the pool buyout directly by the banks so that the NBFCs also get the liquidity. Plus, as was announced by the Honorable FM, the buyback pool, partial pool guarantee, under that also 15,455 crores worth of pools have been identified, initially scrutinized by the banks, found to be in order, and now concerned NBFCs are bringing their AA ratings, which was in the scheme. The 15,455 crores is what banks have already sanctioned, and now waiting for the NBFCs to bring their rating agencies, which was AA. Today, all the bankers suggested that the ratings of the NBFC, there are two kinds of ratings. One is on the pool, one is of the NBFC. So the pool rating remains high because they cannot buy the pool which is not highly rated. But there are some NBFCs who have good pool, but they do not have a good rating on their own. So the bank suggested that the investment rating, NBFCs having investment ratings, should also be included in the scheme so that their AA rated pools can also be considered for infusing liquidity into them. So these were the major.
This will be a bit of a change in this scheme.
This is what they have suggested. We will examine those changes, but they have suggested, though it does not dilute the pool which they are buying. It's only some NBFCs which are not having the rating of themselves but have good quality pools. So this is again to help them. This is
So the
what
dilution is not at the level of the pooled asset, it is more on the level of those NBFCs which are sitting over good assets, but because of their own institutional rating is not AA or whatever, we are allowing on the suggestion of the banks that they can be brought in if they have investment grade.
So that's all, madam.
So there's also a press release which is being given, which will give all the details of what the Secretary has said. So we shall also be following up with Reserve Bank for some of the earlier notifications which had come. We'll be in a position to get those also speeded up. In this particular interaction with the bankers, there was a presentation given by the Chief Economic Advisor who showed, based on the Monetary Policy Committee's data from the Reserve Bank, on where the credit flows are happening, where is the credit flow getting congested, what is the level, and actually laid out the landscape before us, and based on which the discussion happened in a very pointed fashion. Post which, these are information which has come, also reporting back on the first tranche of
announcement.
an outreach which has happened, and the second one which will commence from 21st. Aside from this, I was also happy to know that on the merger of banks, everything is going smoothly. The bank boards have all been on board. They've taken the necessary steps to keep that process going smoothly. Over and above that, there was one discussion on the IBC related issues. Secretary, would you want to?
So basically, we had a quick feedback session with all the banks on how IBC is faring and their concerns, if any, and suggestions. So broadly, if you look at the snapshot of IBC, about in the last 3 years, 21,000 cases have come, out of which nearly 10,000 cases have been settled, 8,500 prior to admission, and about the balance 1,500 or so, they have been settled in different ways, liquidation, resolution, etc. And you have about 1,500 cases which are ongoing. The whole issue of the system getting overheated, NCLT getting clogged, these are all real issues. So the typical approach which would be beneficial is that cases which involve large outstandings and where IBC is the best option, should actually take recourse to the IBC route, and things which are not having that large outstanding, they are smaller outstandings relatively, and can be better settled outside IBC, because you must realize that IBC is it's a court supervised and a very rigorous process. So there are a lot of stages, etc. So they could be maybe settled outside IBC. So there was a broad consensus that Section 7, the financial creditor, the banks generally trigger. So they should have some sort of approach. This is also in line with the revised circular of RBI. The February 12 circular and the June 7 circular. So this is the basic thing. Second issue was that it has been observed that in a few sectors there have been a spate of applications coming where single class borrower has triggered. Class borrower means where in a class there are a large number of borrowers, let us say home buyers or debenture holders. So if a single home buyer is triggering because 1 lakh threshold has crossed, 1 day default has crossed, and otherwise a well-functioning company comes to the NCLT, it's not a very happy situation. So therefore, there is a feedback both from Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry and from other quarters, even from the real estate industry, that this will have to be looked at and some threshold approach should be followed. So this is another feedback based on which to ensure that the IBC process is not abused by anybody, there would be a serious thinking on some sort of threshold approach for class buyers where there are large number of buyers. So maybe something akin to class action provision which you have in the Companies Act could be one sort of option available. There could be other options available. And also the entire issue of treatment of financial creditors, operational creditors, this has been in the apex court also, what is fair and equitable. We have also amended the act. The possibility of a formula-based distribution, which will be a fairly elaborate formula, which can give the best outcome and reduce litigation and reduce the time for disposal. Because now that with 29A getting settled beyond doubt, the only litigation area essentially is who gets how much. So if that can be resolved in this effective manner, that could be a real thing which is being considered. And lastly, even when you are having this, I think I missed out that point.
Secretary, you wanted to issue a little clarification.
Small clarification. This entire scheme was around the rated school assets, because to ensure that NBFCs get adequate liquidity, a pool of assets with NBFCs with a ceiling of ₹5 crore per asset, and then a pool of assets can be as large as 5,000 crore per bank, is proposed to be bought out by banks, backstopped by a first loss government guarantee up to 10%. Now, the banks have expressed that the rating sometimes, because the rating agencies tend to be quite strict, so they wanted that rating requirement to be brought down to investment grade. So that clarification upon DFS would make a proposal. Finance Minister has kindly agreed, and subsequently necessary formality with respect to that would be completed.
So I just recollected that was basically making the entire resolution process more transparent. So right now, as you understand, there are financial considerations, non-financial considerations.